Queens choose kings and girls attract frauds. What in the heck are we talking about here? So this concept might seem cheesy, it might seem foreign, but when we break it down, we can see that basically every single woman has been caught in this cycle at one point in her life or another. I know that in my journey, I have had stages when I was a queen and I have had stages when I was a girl. So the main difference here is experience. Experience is huge because experiences shape our reality and they allow us to think. They allow us to brainstorm. They allow us to learn and pivot and to change our behavior accordingly. So those who are still in the girl stage, which no shame if you are, we've all been there, I myself have been there, is these girls tend to be naive and vulnerable. And they also tend to be lonely. Loneliness is a very dangerous thing because when we are lonely, we think that attention directed towards us is love, when in actuality, it's a very cheap form of effort. Attention is cheap. Attention is sending you a DM. Attention is commenting emojis on your photo. Attention is saying a lot but not doing much. So girls tend to fall in the trap of being swayed by attention. They're not looking at a man's actions, they are being swayed by his attention, and they are falling for men based on exterior things and external factors. So we're gonna break down the difference. A queen, on the other hand, is confident, she's content and fulfilled. So it doesn't matter if she's single, doesn't matter if she's in a relationship, doesn't matter if she's married. She's not dating to fill a void. She's not dating because she's empty. She's already fulfilled. She's already filling her cup, okay? And the other piece that sets them apart is that a queen has experience. She's been a girl once before. She's been heartbroken and learned the lesson. Okay, so a girl might have been heartbroken before, but she hasn't learned the lesson. So that is the key difference there. Queens also, I have my notes here, so I'm looking down to make sure I get everything. They are discerning. So, of course, we all will look at a man and see the exterior and see the external, but queens are able to look beyond the exterior and go interior. They're able to look at the internal. They're able to assess the character, the personality, the values of the man. They are not easily swayed by the flashy things that will have, the girls' eyes mesmerized, right? Queens can appreciate those things, but they know it's not everything and it's not the main thing either. So now let's talk about frauds versus kings. So frauds tend to be men who, in a lot of ways, are feminized, okay? And what I mean by that is they're acting like women in a lot of situations, okay? So for example, they are very emotional. They're volatile. They don't know how to control their feelings. They have a very quaky foundation. So when you think of the epitome of a man who's masculine, he's firm, he's in his foundation, that's getting into the king. Maybe I should keep going with the fraud because I don't want you to get confused. So a fraud is very much complaining. He's doing a lot of talking. Okay, so he's complaining, he's emotional, he is trying to get attention by focusing on the exterior. So he might look really good. He's probably a gym bro. He probably is, working on his fitness, working on his exterior. He might even have great style, a great wardrobe. He might have a good car even. But it's because he is compensating for something within. He's compensating because he knows that deep down, he doesn't have that inner confidence and the inner radiance that a king has. So frauds are very much charming. That's the problem. And a lot of girls, they get swept away by this charm. I don't know if I've shared this story with you guys, but I was in LA when I was back in college. You know, this was years ago, and my mom and I were at a rooftop bar, and I don't know how it happened, but we were in line to get a drink or something, and this guy approached me. He was very charming. My mom loved him. Okay, she got swayed by it, which I couldn't assess much, right? We just met. But he was very charming. I'm going to tell you what he did. So when we were in line to get a drink, we had mentioned if we could get some extra lemon slices because my mom loves lemons. And so on our first date, he brought a bag of lemons and he said, "This is for your mom. I know she likes lemons." So that is very charming behavior. Now, if I keep going with the story, he didn't end up being that charming. Okay, it was more of a facade. He took me on a very nice dinner to a steakhouse, and I think immediately after that dinner, or like the next day, he said something along the lines of, "You don't expect me to like take you out for dinner like every time I see you, right?" Something like way low effort. Like we had been on one date. No, I'm not expecting steakhouse dinners every time, but to already be making exceptions and to be making remarks that, you know, you're kind of done putting in effort after one date is like, that's a hell no, okay? Especially with a woman like me who expects you to be courting me for at least a few months. I already knew it wasn't gonna work with this guy. So anyways, that wasn't the story. The story isn't about that. It's about how he was very charming, right? He did the right thing. He probably opened my car door too. And I have a whole other video, which I'm gonna link above here, about why I don't care if a man opens my door. Because once again, a lot of frauds will do this. They know that this is in the book of etiquette, I don't know who came up with it, that opening a car door is amazing and makes you a gentleman. No, it does not. I'm not saying it's bad, it's sweet, but to say that just because a guy opens your car door, he's a gentleman, is a reach, okay? That is like accepting the bare minimum, okay? I don't care if my husband opens my door. I care that he respects me. I care that he adores me. I care that he cares for me. I care that he shows up for me in actions. Actions that are much bigger and much more profound and require a lot more effort than opening a car door. Okay, so that's an example of what a fraud would do. He would do those things that are known to be charming, okay? But in actuality, over time, pretty quickly, you will realize he's a fraud. He's not a real gentleman. He's just trying to show that he is, to give the look, to give the appearance, when many times he's something else. And it's not a king, it's not a gentleman, it's none of those. Now, the other thing is that frauds are technically boys who haven't earned their manhood. And when I say that, manhood isn't about an age. I really want to get more into this in my videos because a lot of us think he's a man because he's 18. He's a man because he's yay tall. He's a man because whatever. He is not a man until other men respect him. He is not a man until other men respect him. This is huge. I knew my man was a good man, but the amount of men that I've had come to me and tell me my husband is a good man confirms that he is a good man, okay? Because men see what we don't. Men see men in an entirely different setting than we do, right? We've all heard that when men go to sports bars and, you know, they're having a couple drinks, then the real truth of who that man is comes out. So a lot of times, women cannot prescribe men as really being men or gentlemen on our own. Like, over history, we've always need men to vet other men. We've had our dads do this, we've had older brothers do this, we've had uncles do this, we've had their own family members do this, right? Their brother, their cousin, their dad, okay? So a fraud is someone who hasn't had a single man in his life give him that title of man, that he's a good man. Other men don't respect him because they know the truth. They know what lies beyond that facade. Okay, so that's a really crucial point, okay? And some common traits with these men is that they tend to be lost. They're still looking for their purpose. They haven't figured it out. They don't have a stable foundation. Like I've said, they're very quaky. Not only are they quaky because they're emotional, but they're quaky because they haven't really got their footing in life. They haven't created something of their own, okay? And a lot of times they don't have solid male role models in their life. So perhaps their dad wasn't present, perhaps their dad wasn't around, perhaps their dad was an alcoholic or a drug addict or in jail, so they weren't given that man-to-man, training that a man truly needs. So on the other hand, kings, like we said, they've been vetted by other men. They have a strong footing in their life. This doesn't mean that they're successful, okay? That's another thing that girls get swayed by. Is they think, oh, he has a Lamborghini, he must be a king. No, it does not mean that, okay? He can have a Lamborghini and treat women like trash. So his possessions have nothing to do with whether or not he's a king. It's all about his values, the way he treats people, his heart, his actions. So kings are dependable, they are trustworthy, they do what they say and they say what they do. They have a very strong foundation. And when I think of a king, I think of a pillar of strength. It is strong, it is stable. It's not just like a simple wind comes by and it's knocked over. It is sturdy. That is what my husband is to me. He's a pillar. I know I can come to him with anything and he will remain steadfast in his strength. He will be unwavering in his composure, And that is something that I give men so much credit for, is that we, women, we are the emotional ones. We are the volatile ones. We are the ones that are close to having a meltdown, right? It's our hormones that are very fluctuating. Whereas on the other hand, a true king, a true man, he is that pillar of strength that can withhold and take on the earth and still be steady and still be calm. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but obviously most kings have strong male role models. So they have amazing fathers, they have uncles, they have coworkers, they have people that they can lean on and rely on and gain wisdom from. So that's kind of the difference between a king and a fraud. So I've already kind of started talking about this, but now I want to talk about the difference between girls and queens and how they judge men. So girls will judge men, like I said, based on the exterior. Based on his outfit, his wardrobe, his possessions, his looks, all of that. They are easily swayed by the exterior. A queen, on the other hand, she notices the exterior, but she is wise enough and discerning enough to go deeper, to go within. She will judge a man based on his character and his actions alone. So this means she would literally pick the average job guy who is loyal, who is committed to action, who is steadfast, who is strong, who is confident, over the multi-millionaire entrepreneur who's an emotional wreck, who's volatile, who's stressed out, who's aggressive, who doesn't stand on his word. So she will be able to make that trade-off And she will do it knowing that she's making the right decision. It doesn't matter if there are girls in her ear telling her, you're making the wrong decision, you're picking the guy who doesn't have much money, you're picking the guy who drives a Honda. She doesn't care because she knows what truly matters. As women, we have a lot of voices in our ear. A lot of girlfriends, our moms, our sisters, our cousins, and a lot of them don't truly see what we see. They might see the exterior of the guy, but they don't spend days with him. They don't see him in all the different lights and settings that we do. So we need to have the discernment and the confidence to make a decision, even if it doesn't align with what other people think. As I mentioned before, there have been men in my life who my mom found so charming and amazing, but I had seen them in a different setting in which it was clear that they were not gentlemen, that they were not kings, that they were not the type of guy that I would want to spend the rest of my life with. So I had to make that decision knowing that it probably didn't make sense looking from the outside in. It probably didn't make sense to other people who just saw the photos or who just saw this guy's Instagram, his external shell, and didn't really see the interior parts that I had examined. The last piece is how girls and queens interact with men. Girls, unfortunately, have a very big pick-me energy. They're lonely. They have a void to fill. So it is very evident right off the bat that they are desperate. Okay, now this doesn't need to be outright in like sleeping with him, but it can be as simple as bringing up marriage when he has not brought it up. It can be as simple as asking to meet his family when he did not initiate that. It can be as simple as, making a remark like, why haven't you made any plans yet? Instead of putting that in his ballpark, okay? So pick me energy isn't just outright like you're messaging guys and driving to them and picking them up and taking the bill. Pick me energy can be anytime you are taking the driver's seat and acting like a man because you are controlling the timeline and the direction and the movement of the relationship. That should not be in your territory. Queens would never do that. Queens, on the other hand, they are magnetic, they're charming because men already can tell that they aren't desperate, they aren't lonely, they don't need to settle with someone tomorrow. Okay, so they tend to have more options and they do the picking, they do the choosing, they do the selecting. What does that mean? Okay, it does not mean that she's out there in the street saying, oh, I'll take that one. It doesn't mean that she is asking the guy to be her boyfriend. No. It means that she is keeping herself available and open to multiple men until one proves himself to her and outshines all the others. And then she energetically picks him by making herself available to him, right? And by being open, by being receptive to that when he is ready to move the relationship to the next step, to make a commitment, to have him meet her family, she agrees. She is open to that, right? She is in the passenger seat. So I know this is a little bit complex because I'm saying she's picking, she's choosing, she's selecting. That doesn't mean that she's taking on the masculine role. Actually, she's very feminine. She's the one taking the back seat. But energetically, because men can sense that she's so strong, that she's so confident, that she doesn't need him. She has options. She has a line of men who would love to take his place. Because he knows that and he can sense that and feel that off her energy, he's going to be pursuing her, and in the end, she's going to be the one who's technically picking him. So this concept has a lot of nuance, and it might not make sense the first time you hear it because there's many layers to it. But I just want to say that it is completely okay to be in the girl stage. We've all been there, and every woman who is now a queen was once a girl. Okay, so I want to share with you guys a story that's super vulnerable about me back in my girl stage. So to be honest, I'm going to be very transparent with you guys. I have been quite blessed in the type of men that I attract in my life. From a young age, like every guy who I dated or was interested in was honestly amazing. Like I had very good experiences. Now that isn't to say I haven't been in a toxic relationship. That isn't to say that I've never had a negative experience. That isn't to say I haven't been heartbroken. I have had my heart broken so many times. Actually, there were times when I was dating good guys and it just fell apart and I had no idea why. Okay, so these things happen. They're all part of life. They're all part of the journey. But there was a time in my life where I had been a queen, right? But I had just gone through a really bad heartbreak, right? There was this guy, everything was going good, you know, and when we ended our relationship, instead of pouring that energy into me and healing and doing all the inner work that I tell you guys to do, unfortunately, I retreated to girl energy. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that I became desperate. I became lonely. And I was thinking that attention was love. And so how it happened was, oh my God, this is a long story. I'm going to try to shorten it. But I was in college and I had met this guy in such a weird way. I had gone to this frat party at USC and my girls and I were leaving. We were walking to like, I don't know, a fast food restaurant. It could have been like a McDonald's. I have no idea. It was a late night. And as we were walking out, this guy kind of came up to me and started talking to me while we're walking, okay? So this guy gave a lot of fraud energy, let's just say that. He was charming, he had a really good conversation going on, but he wasn't showing any action, right? He didn't purchase me a meal. He didn't offer to take us home or get us an Uber. No, he was just talking my ear off, right? And so we exchanged numbers, and over the course of a few years, he would check in every now and then, we would talk, but it was very friendly, right? Like I knew this guy was interested in me, but he kept it friendly. Now, during the time when I had just got my heart broken and I was now single, and he would message me, there was like a newfound emotion because I was like, oh, well, maybe this could be more than a friendship. You know, maybe this guy and I have chemistry. Maybe we have connection. Now, the problem already is I was making him out to be something that he hadn't proven himself to be. I was already in my head imagining him as being some king when all he had done up until that point was approach me, get my number, and send me, hey, how's it going, in every few months. So he had been putting very low effort. It was just simply attention at that point. And anyways, the talking went on for like a few weeks, maybe even a few months, and I was so lonely at this point. I remember it. I was very lonely. I was weak. I was vulnerable. I was naive. I was all the things that I just told you guys a girl is. And one day we were chatting and I said something like, well, why haven't you made plans with me? You know, because he would always be checking in, like, good morning, good night, how are your classes, how's this? Like, he showed so much interest, and that's what a fraud will do. He'll show interest, but he'll take no action, right? So then finally, I said something along the lines of, well, you always message me, you always check on me, but you never try to make plans with me. So what's going on here? And that was very masculine of me. Like, looking back now, I would never talk to a man that way. Not because it's like too upfront, not because it's too, like, there's nothing wrong with a woman doing that, but it was because if I really wanted to meet a king and if I really wanted to be this feminine goddess, I wanted to be with a guy who was taking that action with or without me saying a word. Like, he would have been already doing whatever he can to get me on a date, to take me out, to do something, right? Like, within exchanging my number, years ago, he would have done that the first week or the first month. Like, he would have been on it. That's what a king does. He sees something, he meets you, he's interested in you, he takes action immediately. He's not sitting and simmering and letting this connection, you know, grow warm for a few years. No. So looking back now, like, I'm like so ashamed of myself, because I was the one who basically got him to ask me out in a way. Like, because I had given him that push, he did. And the worst part is, we ended up in a relationship. And let's just say that it was doomed from the start. Like, it didn't last very long, probably just a few months, but I don't even want to tell you guys all the details. That could be a story for a whole nother YouTube video. The point I'm trying to make, and why I brought it up, was that was me in a time of being a girl. And that's the scary thing too, is queens can fall back into this girl energy, into this girl mode, and start doing things that they normally wouldn't do in a healthy place, in a level-headed space. So make sure that you are always upholding those queen standards. And that means being confident, being fulfilled, knowing that you don't need a man, but the right man will want to meet you, to take you out, to do whatever it takes to prove himself to you. And you will be taking a back seat. You will be in the passenger seat, but you will be doing the picking. Any situation in which it's turned around and you're trying to get him to commit to you, or you're trying to get him to propose to you, or you're trying to get him to ask you out, is you being a girl. Because now this guy is never going to really look at you and be like, she's my dream girl, she was the one I worked hard for, she was the one that, you know, I had to get in my masculine driver's seat energy and to get. He had it easy, actually, because you kind of laid it out for him. You were the one who was forcing it. And so it's never going to be a genuine king-queen connection. So this is the concept of why girls generally attract frauds and queens choose kings. And if you're a girl right now, don't worry, there's hope for you. You can be a queen. You will be a queen. I know that you have that queen energy in you. I also do offer coaching sessions where I'm able to help you create a dating profile. I can help you get your mind right, just get your mindset, you know, going, so you have a strong, healthy, confident foundation. So when you go out on dates and meet guys, you're not operating from this weak, vulnerable, naive girl kind of persona. I can even help you if you're already in a relationship or a marriage and you want to activate more of that king energy from your man. So the options are endless. I have the link down below where you can check out my availability. Nonetheless, I wish you all love. I wish you healing. I'm praying for you. I hope that this video finds you in a beautiful place. I love you guys so much. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.